Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brower from RacerX back again with another race examination video. We're going to look at the Triple Crown from Arlington and a lot of different talking points in both the 450 and 250 class. But I wanted to highlight in this first main event. So we get started. Marvin Musquin gets into the race lead around Vince Friese pretty early on. And then there's a couple things that happen. First, we have Malcolm Stewart trying to pass Anderson and Friese at the same time. Anderson gets hung up a little bit. Eventually, he'll get around Friese in the third. And then Marvin Musquin with the race lead is going to stall the bike going into the whoop section right here, which allowed Malcolm Stewart by into the race lead. But as you can see, Marvin gets going behind Malcolm, and Anderson passes Marvin a couple laps later. He eventually runs down Stewart for the lead, and then the moment that everybody's been talking about this week thus far, Anderson going down the inside in the first race here to try to pass Malcolm Stewart for the lead. Takes both of them down. Malcolm gets up and kind of runs into Anderson to get to his bike, and they're both unhappy, and neither one won this race. So here's what Anderson had to say about it.
Oh, I tried to say something to him, but he was really heated. But I was like, I landed off that triple, and I gassed it. And as soon as I gassed it, I was like, I'm going too fast. And I really didn't try and turn. I was trying to just stop. And once I made contact with him, it was over. But, yeah, I apologize to him, but he was kind of heated. But I guess understandable. You know what I'm saying? So I just tried to brush it off and try and ride my race and move on to the next two.
So as Anderson said, he just said he came too hot into the corner, and when he landed on the throttle. As you can see, the rear tire is still spinning. Second he lands, he gets on the brakes, and he says he's just trying to stop at that point, but a little bit too little too late, gets into the side of Malcolm. And rule number one, you're going to take somebody down, don't take yourself as well. Love Malcolm Stewart getting up here, though, getting his best Terry Tate impression on from that Super Bowl commercial. And gets back to his bike. But obviously this worked out terribly for both of them. Neither of them won this first race, and Anderson ultimately lost the overall because he would have went 2-1-1 or 1-1-1 or 3-1-1 or whatever and easily won the race. But in the end, a couple guys frustrated at each other. Moving on to a little bit more contact that didn't get as much airtime on the broadcast. We saw it in the little bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Ferrandis getting up from this crash and very frustrated with Justin Barcia. Barcia, kind of interesting. He's on probation right now, and that was pretty aggressive. But I guess kind of similar back to the Anderson situation. If you're going to take somebody down, make sure you don't go down as well. Barcia just cuts across a bunch of the ruts, puts Ferrandis on the ground, and Ferrandis at least isn't getting tackled by somebody when he gets up. So there's a plus side there, but definitely Barcia coming in pretty hot and taking Ferrandis down. Here's more to the race that I want to talk about, though. The race in the third main event between Eli Tomac and Jason Anderson was terrific. Back and forth, and these guys reading each other so well. This is the type of racing you get when both riders are very aware of where each one of them are on the racetrack. Anderson knows when he's going to go down the inside of Tomac. He knows right here Tomac's going to come down the inside of him, so he squares him off, goes back to the inside and cuts down in the corner. But Tomac also knows where Anderson is in all these situations, so he's trying to react to what Anderson is doing. Anderson squares off under the tunnel, comes down the inside of Tomac here. I mean, just great back and forth battling that you get when two guys are very aware of each other on the racetrack, and also two guys that are fighting for the championship as well. So Tomac obviously able to get the overall win on the night. Didn't need to win that last race to do it, but he gave Anderson a good run at it. And hopefully this is the battling we get to see out of these two moving forward, because that was a lot of fun to watch in that third race, and maybe there's more still to come. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the OnX Off-Road app today. So moving on to the 250 class, and we pretty much have to just talk about Jett Lawrence's night because it encapsulated just about everything about the Triple Crown in the 250 class. First off, he gets a whole shot in the first main event, then slides out going into the second corner, and it was kind of a weird crash there, but then he does the pretty much exact same thing in the third main event. On his way to maybe getting the whole shot, slides the rear end out. And if we just compare these side by side real quick, I would say the one on the left was more of just too much on the rear brake on corner entry, but the one on the right seemed like too much throttle on corner exit. So kind of the same looking crash, but two different results. In the end, he had to pass a lot of guys and made his way through the field well in both main events. But as we all know, the problem came in that third main event as he's trying to pass Austin Forkner. He goes around the outside, got crazy sketchy in the whoops, and then cross jumps him on the finish line jump, and they both go down very hard. And unfortunately, Forkner has a broken collarbone from this, so he's going to miss some time. But here is what Lawrence had to say about this whole incident after the race.
It sucks what happened. I got wild. Obviously didn't learn my lesson from the first time. I got wild once, and I thought I could balls my way through it, but made another got a little sketchy in the whoops again. But then, yeah, most people saw what happened after. I don't really like talking about it much because I feel gutted about it. I just a stupid mistake of my behalf of hitting a tough block and taking out another rider, which is pissed at myself. I really can't say much. I am sorry to the Forkner family, Austin, and his chick. It's I was looking forward to racing him this year because he's. I think a lot of people can agree he's definitely one of the most talented guys on a Supercross track. He's shown it many of times, and I just feel sick about it, really. I don't have much else to say about it, really, so yeah.
So obviously Lawrence is gutted, and it's all this tough block on the left side of the track. He just kind of clipped it. I mean, you could say that he was riding over his head or whatever coming into this situation, but he just barely clipped that tough block, and that's what sent him off to the right. So he's not doing it on purpose, but it is still his fault. Like, it's his mistake, and obviously he owned up to it. Nothing Forkner could do here, though. I mean, he is just getting cross-jumped from far left to far right of the track, and does a decent job of trying to eject, but I think he was always going to hit the ground pretty hard right here, and then, yeah, right into that right collarbone, which he's already had plated. He said the collarbone actually broke around the plates, so it looks like he's going to need to get some more repair done in there. And that is just such a bummer because he's been riding pretty well to the start of the season, and he has been through the ringer with injuries of late. But back to the kind of the happy side of things for Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki, Cameron McAdoo gets his second career overall win in Arlington, and it was an awesome pass to the lead in this last main event, so I feel like I should slow it down and talk about it again because anytime you pass two guys in the whoops, it's pretty awesome. Obviously, Owen nor Brown got a great drive for the whoops, but still McAdoo just absolutely blitzes right by them. He looked solid all night long. He's looked very in control this year so far, and now he's got to share the red plate as well because he picked up the overall win. Jett Lawrence got third overall, and on the night, it equals them on the points now. So going into Daytona, McAdoo and Lawrence will have the red plate shared, and it's kind of down to seeing whether or not J-Mart can get back into the mix because we have lost Austin Forkner moving forward in this championship.